You can survey for frogs around your home by following these 7 easy steps. You'll need a pair of gumboots, which are cleaned and disinfected, and you'll need a flashlight or head torch, a phone with your favorite identification app, and a white sheet of paper. Having clean gumboots is extremely important because one of the greatest causes of declines in frog populations is a fungus called chytrid fungus, and it can spread right on your boots if you've walked in water where this fungus is present. To make sure this doesn't happen, use a boot dip to disinfect your boots between every waterway site you visit. It's as easy as filling a plastic tub with a dilute solution of water and bleach and swishing your boots around in it. The bleach will kill any chytrid on your boots and make sure that you're not spreading dangerous diseases between waterways. Before you go out surveying, get familiar with your area's local species and get familiar with what their calls sound like. Once you've got your tools together and you've practiced a few of the common frog calls, you're ready to go down to the waterway. The best night to go surveying for frogs is a warm night where the temperature stays above about 12 degrees Celsius. There should be little to no wind, and it's good if there's been a bit of recent rain so that the ground is not too dry. You can start your survey about 30 minutes after sunset. The first thing you want to do when you arrive down to the waterway is turn off all your lights and just listen quietly for at least 5 minutes. Can you hear any of those common species whose calls you practiced earlier? While you're listening quietly, you can take a recording of what you're hearing. Some frog species are really vocal and sing all night long, whereas other species can be a bit more quiet and shy. You won't know that they're there unless they feel like singing. But a lot of times, a quiet frog will sing out if it hears what it thinks is another frog of its same species singing. So you can trick them by turning up your phone's volume all the way and playing calls out over the water. In this clip, I was looking for a species of frog called a pobblebonk, but I didn't hear any singing. But when I turned on my phone and played some pobblebonk calls, sure enough, I heard a pobblebonk hiding nearby. Listening for frog calls is really the easiest and most effective way to survey for frogs, but it's really fun to actually get to see a frog. So once you've done your quiet listening, it's time to turn on your flashlight and have a search. Slowly walk around the edge of the water and just be really careful you're not disturbing habitat, and use your torch to have a look in different places around the waterway. And don't just focus on the water's edge. You will find frogs sitting in the shallow water or up on the bank, but you'll also find them hiding in little mud caves, hiding in leaf litter or grass further away from the water, or in bushes and trees. The best way to find a frog is to follow the sound of its call. But that can still be easier said than done, because some of these frogs, despite how loud the call is, when you actually find them, they are tiny and incredibly well camouflaged. And of course, be very careful where you put your boot. Go slowly and watch your step. Another helpful tip for actually finding a frog is to use your flashlight to look for its eye shine. If you look really closely, you can see the flicker of eye shine in this clip. You'll see lots of eye shine in the grass, but most of them won't actually be frogs. If you're able to find a frog, please never touch it or handle it. For one, this is very stressful for the frog to be handled by what it perceives as a very large and threatening predator. But more importantly, frogs have a really unique skin. It's permeable, which means it can absorb nearly anything it comes into contact with. In fact, frogs breathe and drink straight through their skin. But that means they can also absorb any harmful substances you might have on your hands. So just admire them with your eyes and take a picture. Here's where we get to use that white sheet of paper. This is a trick for taking a nice looking picture of a frog that's also much nicer on the frog's eyes. Turn off your phone's flash, and instead of shining the torch directly onto the frog, use that white paper to dampen the light from the torch by just wrapping that paper around the front of the torch. This gives you a much softer light and you'll get a much nicer picture. After your survey, please share what you found. Frogs are a really important indicator species for waterway health, and the more people who are out there surveying for frogs, the more complete our picture is.